Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers Channel. Today we will learn about the shocking developments surrounding Anna Devane's deteriorating mental state and the sinister conspiracy that threatens to destroy her credibility forever. As one of Port Charles's most respected figures faces her darkest hour, the tangled web of deception woven by her enemies may culminate in a devastating outcome that could strip Anna of her freedom and reputation in one calculated stroke. The drugging campaign and its devastating effects. Anna Devane's current predicament represents one of the most elaborate and cruel psychological warfare operations ever witnessed in Port Charles. The sophisticated drugging regimen orchestrated by director Ross Cullum and criminal mastermind Jen Sidwell has transformed the once sharp intelligence operative into a woman whose grasp on reality appears increasingly tenuous. The chemical cocktail administered during her captivity was specifically designed to blur the boundaries between past trauma and present circumstances, creating a nightmarish landscape where deceased enemies materialize as living threats. The hallucinations Anna experienced weren't random manifestations of drug-induced psychosis, but carefully crafted scenarios designed to exploit her deepest fears and unresolved conflicts. Through the assistance of the manipulative Pascal, Cullum and Sidwell orchestrated elaborate theatrical performances that convinced Anna her greatest adversary, Cesar Faison, had somehow cheated death itself. The meticulous attention to detail in these staged encounters, from Faison's distinctive mannerisms to his characteristic voice patterns, made the deception nearly impossible for Anna to recognize as fabrication in her compromised state. What makes this psychological assault particularly insidious is its strategic targeting of Anna's professional identity. As a former spy and current authority figure, Anna's entire career has been built on her ability to distinguish truth from deception, reality from illusion. By undermining this fundamental capability, her enemies have struck at the very core of who she is, potentially destroying not just her mental equilibrium, but her sense of self-worth and professional competence. The impossible task of proving sanity. The cruel irony of Anna's situation lies in the fact that her efforts to expose the truth will likely be interpreted as further evidence of her mental breakdown. When she begins recounting her experiences, specifically her encounters with Liesel Obrecht, Peter August, and the supposedly resurrected Faison during her captivity, her testimony will inevitably sound like the desperate fabrications of a deeply disturbed mind. After all, Faison's death has been confirmed, documented, and accepted by everyone in Port Charles. To claim otherwise, particularly in conjunction with vivid descriptions of interactions with other problematic figures from her past, creates a narrative that screams delusion rather than conspiracy. The pharmaceutical residue in Anna's system will complicate matters exponentially. Medical professionals examining her will discover evidence of powerful hallucinogenic compounds, which on the surface supports a diagnosis of drug-induced psychosis. However, this evidence cuts both ways. It could indicate either that Anna was deliberately poisoned or that she voluntarily consumed substances that triggered her breakdown. Without corroborating witnesses or physical evidence of her imprisonment, Anna faces an uphill battle in establishing that she was the victim of an elaborate gaslighting operation rather than someone who experienced a spontaneous mental health crisis. Emma's devastating discovery. The February 2 episode delivered a crushing blow to the Scorpio Drake family when Emma received the fateful phone call that would set off alarm bells throughout Port Charles. The voice on the other end, identifying itself as a law enforcement officer from a small French commune, conveyed information that seemed both hopeful and deeply troubling. Anna had indeed escaped her captors, managing to flag down a motorist on a desolate rural road, a testament to her survival instincts and determination. However, the content of her statements to local authorities raised immediate concerns about her psychological state. According to the information relayed to Emma, Anna's primary concern wasn't requesting medical attention, contacting the American embassy, or even explaining the details of her kidnapping. Instead, she fixated obsessively on a single imperative, warning everyone that Cesar Faison, a man who died years ago, had somehow returned to threaten Port Charles. This bizarre priority, combined with her disheveled appearance and disoriented demeanor, prompted local French authorities to question whether they were dealing with a victim of crime or someone experiencing a severe mental health episode. Emma's emotional response to this news reveals the devastating impact on Anna's loved ones. The young woman finds herself caught between relief that her grandmother is alive and terror at the implications of her reported statements. Emma knows Anna as a pillar of strength and rationality, making the reported behavior all the more alarming. The conflict between wanting to rush to Anna's side and fearing what condition she might find her grandmother in creates an agonizing dilemma for the entire family. Dante's skepticism and hard-won wisdom. When Jason Morgan briefs Dante Falconeri on the latest developments during the February 3 episode, the detective's reaction provides crucial insight into how Anna's claims will be received by the broader Port Charles community. Dante's skepticism doesn't stem from any lack of respect or affection for Anna, rather. It emerges from his own painful journey through mental instability and manipulation. Having experienced PTSD following his military service and having been subjected to brainwashing protocols by his own father, Dante possesses a unique perspective on the treacherous territory Anna now navigates. Dante understands perhaps better than anyone how profoundly trauma and chemical manipulation can distort perception and memory. He recognizes the telltale signs of someone whose grip on reality has been compromised by external forces beyond their control. His concern for Anna is genuine and deeply personal, but it manifests as doubt about her specific claims rather than immediate acceptance. Dante's advice that Anna needs to surround herself with trusted allies who can help guide her back to mental clarity reflects his belief that she is experiencing a genuine crisis requiring compassionate intervention rather than validation of her seemingly impossible assertions. This skepticism, while well-intentioned, plays directly into Cullum and Sidwell's hands. The more people dismiss Anna's warnings as symptoms of illness, the more isolated and desperate she becomes. The more she insists on the truth of her experiences, the more unhinged she appears to those around her. It's a perfect catch. 2-2, engineered by her enemies, any attempt to expose the conspiracy only deepens the perception that she's lost touch with reality. The heartbreaking Psych ward confrontation. The preview footage for the week of February 2-6 delivers one of the most emotionally devastating scenes in recent General Hospital history. Against the sterile backdrop of institutional white walls, presumably within a psychiatric facility, Anna pleads desperately with Felicia Scorpio to secure her release. The raw anguish in Anna's voice and the utter heartbreak visible on Felicia's face encapsulate the tragedy of the situation a woman renowned for her competence and courage reduced to begging for freedom from confinement, while her dear friend struggles with the painful reality that the Anna before her seems fundamentally changed from the woman she's known for decades. Felicia's internal conflict is palpably. On one hand, she knows Anna's history, her capabilities, and her mental fortitude qualities that make the current situation seem inexplicable. On the other hand, the evidence before her eyes suggests her friend has suffered a catastrophic psychological break. The clinical setting, with its implications of psychiatric evaluation and treatment, reinforces the official narrative that Anna requires professional intervention. Felicia wants desperately to believe Anna to be the steadfast friend who never doubts. But the weight of medical opinion and observable behavior creates genuine uncertainty. The transfer to what may be Shady Brook or another mental health facility represents a critical escalation in Anna's predicament. Such institutions, while designed to provide care, can also become prisons for those unjustly committed. Once inside the psychiatric system, proving sanity becomes exponentially more difficult. Every protest can be reinterpreted as denial. Every emotional display as proof of instability. Anna's enemies have essentially found a way to incarcerate her using the mental health system itself as their weapon, creating a cage more secure than any physical prison because it comes with the veneer of medical necessity and compassionate treatment. The continuing conspiracy, institutional corruption. The truly diabolical genius of Cullum and Sidwell's plan lies in its sustainability. Even after Anna's rescue and return to Port Charles, the conspiracy doesn't end, it merely enters a new phase. The suggestion that the villains could pay off staff members within the psychiatric facility to continue Anna's drugging regimen opens up terrifying possibilities. Corrupt orderlies or nurses could easily administer substances disguised as legitimate psychiatric medications, ensuring that Anna's mental state remains compromised for as long as necessary. This institutional corruption transforms what should be a place of healing into an extension of Anna's original prison. The key difference is that this captivity carries official sanction and medical justification. Family members visiting Anna might attribute any continued strange behavior or accusations to her ongoing illness rather than recognizing signs of continued victimization. The medical establishment, operating in good faith but deceived about Anna's true condition, becomes an unwitting accomplice in her ongoing torture. The financial resources available to someone like Sidwell make such corruption depressingly plausible. A few strategic bribes to key personnel could ensure that Anna's treatment notes consistently reflect psychotic symptoms, that her blood work always shows concerning chemical imbalances, and that any progress toward genuine recovery is promptly sabotaged. The beauty of the scheme from the villain's perspective is its self-reinforcing nature. The more Anna protests her sanity, the more insane she appears, and the longer her institutionalization seems justified. The path forward uncertain. Resolution. As General Hospital continues to unfold this gripping storyline, Anna faces a harrowing journey that tests not just her resilience, but her very identity. The spoilers tease additional trauma ahead, suggesting that Cullum and Sidwell have more devastating moves planned. Perhaps they'll introduce new evidence of Anna's instability. Or maybe they'll orchestrate situations that make her actions appear dangerous to herself or others, justifying even more restrictive confinement. The question now becomes, who, if anyone, will believe Anna enough to investigate her claims seriously? Will Jason Morgan's investigative instincts lead him to uncover inconsistencies in the official narrative? Might Dante's own experience with mental manipulation eventually prompt him to reconsider his skepticism? Could Emma's desperate faith in her grandmother drive her to conduct her own inquiry? The potential for allies to emerge exists, but time is Anna's enemy. The longer she remains institutionalized and medicated, the harder it becomes to distinguish between the effects of her original drugging and any genuine psychological damage caused by the ordeal itself. Anna Devane's nightmare is far from over, and the coming weeks promise to deliver more shocking developments as this masterfully crafted storyline continues to evolve. Stay tuned for more updates as we follow Anna's fight to reclaim her freedom, her reputation, and her sanity.